Hi students, this is AJ sir. Let's study 10th standard ICSE Math, chapter 13, exercise A, the section formula. The section formula. Imagine there is a line AB. If the coordinates of A and B are given, and if we know the coordinates of any point P on it, then we can calculate the ratio in which the line has been divided, which is taken as M1 ratio M2. In this case, the reverse is true. Here, the coordinates of A and B are given, which I am taking as x1 y1 or x2 y2, and the ratio is 2:5. That means AP upon PB is equal to 2 upon 5. So if AP is 2 centimeters, PB will be 5 centimeters. Given the ratios, now I can find the coordinates of this point x, y, and the formula for that is this. The x coordinate, which is known as the abscissa, is m1 x2 plus m2 x1 upon m1 plus m2. Note that m1 here is 2 and m2 is taken as 5. I know it's a ratio, but we can use these values in the formula. x1, x2 values, well, x1 is 4 and x2 is 6. The y coordinate of P, which is called the ordinate, that is found using this one. m1 y2 plus m2 y1 upon m1 plus m2. Notice the denominators are the same, which will be 2 plus 5, 7. y2 is 3 and y1 is minus 5. So if you take this as x1 y1 and x2 y2, that is also fine. But make sure that if this is x1, this is y1. So if I said that x2 is 4, then minus 5 would also be y2. In exercise 13a, cancel question 1, it's very easy. Let's do question 2. In what ratio is the line joining 2, minus 3 and 5, 6, so this is x1, y1 and this is x2, y2, divided by the x-axis? We have to find the ratio, that means m1 ratio m2 we have to find. But for that I will need the coordinates of a point on it, but that is not given. Now imagine this diagram. This is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Remember, any point lying on the x-axis will have y-coordinate 0. So I can say the coordinates of A are x, 0. Similarly, any point lying on the y-axis will have the x-coordinate 0. So I can say the coordinates of point B are 0, y. So using this information, we will be able to solve this sum. In what ratio is this line, let's say that this was a line, divided by the x-axis? The x-axis is intersecting this line at point, let's say A or P. So what is the ratio? That is BA ratio, let's say AP or something like that. What is the ratio of that? That is the question. So let me draw the diagram here. This is the line. This is the x-axis. This is let's say point A. This is point B, and the point of intersection is P. This is the x-axis, of course. So A's coordinates are given, B's coordinates are given, P's coordinates are not given, but because it is lying on the x-axis, I can say that it is x, 0. Now the question is, what is the ratio AP ratio PB? How much is it? That is the question. So first we'll write, let P, that is x, 0, divide this line in ratio m1 ratio m2. Now x1, y1 values are given, x2, y2 values are given, and x comma y is nothing but x comma 0. I don't know the value of x, but I don't even need it. At least I have the value of the y coordinate, 0. What is the formula for y coordinate? It is m1 y2 plus m2 y1 upon m1 plus m2. I know the value of y2, it is 6, and y1 is minus 3. Substitute those values, and y is nothing but 0 because it was lying on the x-axis, right? Now cross multiply. This goes up, anything into 0 is 0. So we get 0 is equal to 6m1 minus 3m2. Minus 3m2 goes to the LHS and becomes plus 3m2. And then I take the ratio of m1 upon m2, which is 3 ratio 6. Cut 1 ratio 2. Always write the final answer in ratio form, not in the fraction form. And this is what is asked in the question, to find the ratio. Now question 4. In what ratio does this point divide the line joining these 2 points? So it's similar to the previous sum. This is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. I don't know the value of this y coordinate A, but I do know the value of this x coordinate, which is 1. Using that, I can find m1 ratio m2. And after I find that, I will be able to even get the value of A. So let's solve it step by step. Always write the data first. x1, y1, x2, y2. As I said, if you call this as x2, y2 and this as x1, y1, even that is fine. X comma y is the point in between these 2 points. It lies on the line 1 comma A. Which value is given? The x coordinates value or the y coordinates value? The x coordinates value. So let's use the formula for the x coordinate, the abscissa. This is the formula. Since you all are a beginner, write the formula in every sum. Once you're an expert in this, you can skip this step and directly write this step, where I have substituted the value of x as 1, m1, m2 we don't know, but we do know x2 and x1. Again, cross multiply, rearrange the terms and get the value of m1 ratio m2. That is the first part of the sum done. Now the second part. There I have to find the value of A, that is the y coordinate, that is the ordinate. What is the formula for finding the y coordinate? Come on, write it on your own, the formula. Let's see if you remember. Did you write this formula? This is the right formula. Y is A, that's what we have to find. M1, M2, I know. The ratio is 2 ratio 3, so I will take M1 as 2 and M2 as 3. We are allowed to do that in this chapter. Y2 and Y1 also we know. Substitute and solve and get the value of A, which is 2. Now the seventh sum. Find the ratio in which the join of this and this is divided by the y-axis, and also find the coordinates of the point of intersection. So this is similar to sum number 2. The only difference is, so there is this line. This is point A, let's say this is point B, whose coordinates are given x1, y1, x2, y2, and there is some y-axis, vertical obviously. So they are intersecting at point P. Tell me the coordinates of P. Since it is lying on the y-axis, I know that at least the x coordinate will be 0, comma y is unknown. So what is the ratio of AP ratio PB that we have to find? And then we have to find the value of y as well. So a very similar sum. First write all the data, the opening statement. Since we have the value of x coordinate, start with that. Write the formula of that. We know value of x, x1, x2. We don't know the value of m1, m2. That's okay. We can cross multiply, solve and get the ratio. 4 ratio 3. So 4 ratio 3. Next. Now we will use the formula of the y coordinate. Please write the whole formula. That will really avoid any silly mistake and confusion. Always write the formula, since you are not yet expert. Y's value I don't know, but I know everything else, m1, m2, y1, y2. Substitute the values and get the answer of y. So finally I will say the point of intersection is 0, 3. So it is 0, 3. That's what we found. Next, the eighth sum. The points A, B, C and D divide the line segment joining the points this and the origin in 5 equal parts. Find the coordinates of B and D. They've asked B and D. Well, there we go. Point P is given and the other point they said is origin, and we know origin is always 0, 0. And A, B, C, D, divide them into 5 equal parts. That means PA is equal to AB is equal to BC is equal to CD is equal to DO. But they have asked to find only B and D. I have actually solved and found A, B, C, D, all of them. But you need not do that. Let's focus on B and D. Forget about D, forget about all other points, focus on B. What is the ratio in which B divides P and O? Think about it. What is PB ratio BO? Well, it's 2:3. Agreed? Because PB is 2 parts and BO is 3 parts. So 2:3. So now the sum is so easy. I know the ratio. I know the 2 points. So I can definitely find the coordinates of B. Let's assume it's x2, y2 or whatever variables you want to take is allowed. So point B, again I'm not even writing the formula, I'm writing it directly. I know the ratio is 2:3, 2:3, and x1 and the x and x values I have substituted. I got the value of x coordinate and similarly I got the value of y coordinate. But you do it on your own. Don't copy, try it on your own. Write the formula please. And this is the final answer, 3, -6. Now what about D? What is the ratio in which D is dividing this line PO? That is PD ratio DO is how much? Well, it's 4:1, isn't it? So here M1 ratio M2 was 2:3. Yes, you have to write that compulsorily. And here point D, write M1 ratio M2, or you can say N1 ratio N2 if you don't want to use the same variables, will be 4:1. Be very careful about what you write. Don't write 1:4, write 4:1. And then use the formula of the x coordinate, use the formula for the y coordinate, 4:1, 4:1. Final answer is 1, -2. Don't forget to write it. D is equal to 1, -2. That is the final answer. So just solve B and D. And if you're interested, then find point A and C also, if you want it to be a bit more challenging. Then. Now the 10th sum. P is a point on this line and the ratio is indirectly given. I can say AP upon PB is equal to 5/2. So the ratio is actually 5:2. No, actually BP goes down and 5 goes down here. So 5 goes down, so it will be 2:5. AP ratio BP is 2:5. Be very careful about writing the correct ratio, otherwise the whole sum will go wrong. Find the coordinates of P. That is so straightforward now, nothing complicated. Only getting the ratio right was the challenging bit. 2:5. I know the values of x1, y1, x2, y2. I don't know the values of x and y. So use the x formula, use the y formula and get the answers. They are in fraction, that's okay. These are the coordinates of P. I have not written the formula here, but you should. Now the 12th sum. Calculate the ratio in which the line joining this and that is divided by the line y is equal to 2. Earlier we had a sum where the line was intersected by the y-axis, and we had one sum in which it was intersected by the x-axis. By the way, x-axis is also called x is equal to 0 line. Never mind. So here in this 12th sum, let me draw it. There is this line whose coordinates of A and B are already given. Good. So I know x1, y1 and x2, y2 at least. Now there is a line, an equation, y is equal to 2, which would be a horizontal line, by the way. Remember, whenever a line is y is equal to something, it's a horizontal line. Anyway, let the coordinates of this point P be x comma 2. Just like I say that if a point lies on the x-axis, then the y coordinate is 0. Similarly, now remember this rule that whenever they give you an equation y is equal to 2, then every point on that line will have y equal to 2. So the y coordinate is indirectly given thanks to this equation. X coordinate I don't know, but that's okay. If I know the y coordinate, that is good enough for me to find the value of m1 ratio m2. Because I will use the y formula. Y's value I know, it is 2. m1, m2 I don't know. But I know y2 and y1 values. y2 and y1. Substituting that, rearranging the terms, I can get the ratio of m1 ratio m2, which is 3 ratio 5. So it was 3 ratio 5. That was the question. Don't forget to write this opening statement and don't forget to draw the diagrams. In every sum, wherever I have drawn a diagram, you too must draw it. With pen, it's fine. Freehand is fine. But do it so that when you revise, it will be easy for you to visualize all these things. By only looking at numbers, you won't be able to understand it. If you visualize it, it becomes easy to remember how to solve. Now the 13th sum, the diagram is already given. And they have given the ratio also, 2 ratio 5. But is this upon this 2 ratio 5 or this upon this is 2 ratio 5? Well, segment AB, they have said AB, not BA. So this upon this is 2 ratio 5. These things matter. Okay. A's coordinates are x comma 0, fine. B's coordinates are 0 comma y, obviously because it is lying on the y axis, so the x coordinate is 0. P's values are given. And they have also given AP is smaller than B. That is why I said it's 2 ratio 5 and not the other way around, because they mentioned AP is smaller. We have to find the value of this x and this y. To find the value. Okay, let's start with the value of x. How to find that? That is for point A. Focus on point A. Write all the data. What is the formula of x? Well, it's m into x2 plus m1 into x2 plus m2 into x1 upon m1 plus m2. Write the formula and then substitute the values. We know all the values, but we don't know the value of x1. See, it's missing. Take this as x1 and take this as y2, and 5 is the value of x and minus 4 is the value of y. Look at all this data. So x1 y1 is x1 0, x2 y2 is 0 and y2, and xy is 5 comma minus 4, that is point P. So diagrams are very important, otherwise we get confused between x and x1 and x2. Keep looking at the diagram. So we know the value of x, good. With that I can find the value of x1. We know the value of y, good. With that we can find the value of y2. Using these two values I can find this. Using these two values I can find this. In every sum this is the case. Out of 3 values, one value is missing and the other 2 are given. In every sum. Look here. How did we get the value of x? By using 6 and 4. If they would have asked, we could have found it, but in this question it wasn't asked. They had just asked us to get the ratio. What about here? Yep, we can find the value of x because we had these two values. We could find the value of y because we had these values. That's what we did with this sum. Even here, if you remember, if I have 0 and 7, I can find the value of y. Of course, in all these cases, I need the value of m1 and m2. Without that, we cannot just find the value of y because 0 and 7 is given. No, I need m1 and m2 in all these sums. So if you remember, in this sum, first we found m1 ratio m2 thanks to these three values, and then only we could solve the next part. So even here, find the value of x1, find the value of y2. So I got the coordinates of a and b respectively. Now the 15th question. Show that the line segment is trisected by the coordinate axis. Trisected means divided into three parts. First, try to draw the graph of this. A diagram similar to this. Try it on your own first before I show it to you. Does it look like this? This is the x-axis, the y-axis. Freehand is fine. I took A in this quadrant, minus plus, it should be in this quadrant, and B, I took it in this quadrant because plus minus is in this quadrant. This is basic coordinate geometry. You should know how the graph looks. And there are 4 quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. But that is not very important. I mean, if your diagram was a little different, it's fine. So we have points A and B given. The y-axis intersects at point P and the x-axis intersects at point Q. Their values are not given, but I know that this will be 0, y and this will be x, 0. We have to prove that it is trisected. That means AP is equal to PQ is equal to QB. That's what we have to prove. So first of all, the opening statement, that is important. Let's talk about point P now. Ignore point Q, ignore that it exists. How do I find the value of y? Well, I have the value of y1 and y2. So can I find the value of y? Yes, but for that I need m1 ratio m2. Do I have the m1 ratio m2? Yes, I do. I can find it, I can calculate it thanks to the y value. Remember, we have to prove that it is trisected. Don't assume that it is already equal. Don't assume that it is 1:2. I want to prove that this is 1:2. And then I will prove that AQ upon QB is 2:1. So I repeat, I will prove AP upon PB as 1:2. And then I will prove AQ upon QB is equal to 2:1. Doesn't it mean that it is trisected, that AP is equal to PB, PQ is equal to QB? Only then can the ratio be 1:2 and 2:1. So now I got my mission for the sum. I have to find m1 ratio m2 first. Okay, let's find for point P, the values of x1, y1, x2, y2 is given, and xy is 0, y. Forget about Q point now. Ignore it. Focus only on this point. Using these values, all three values are given. Can't I find the value of m1 and m2 ratio? Substitute and get the value of m1, m2 ratio. 1:2. Great. I got it. Using this, if they would have asked for the value of y, I could have got that too, but not in this sum. It's an easy sum. Now focus on point Q. Forget about point P. Focus on point Q. So again, write all the data. For point A, this is point B, and this is point Q. You can write that also, A, B, Q, if you want to. So here, I will use the y coordinates to get my value of n1:n2. I'm using different variables now. n1:n2, and I get the answer as 2:1. Hence prove that points P and Q do trisect the line. 18th sum. The line segment joining the points M and N is intersected by the y-axis at point L. Okay. Write down the abscissa of L. Which axis was it again? It was the y-axis. So I already know whenever a point lies on the y-axis, the x-coordinate is 0. That means the abscissa will be 0. Hence find the ratio. We have done such a sum. So if you want to draw, it's like this. X-axis. This is A, this is B, this is L, and L is 0, y. The coordinates of A are given, B are also given. Thankfully we have the x coordinate. So using that, using the x coordinate, I can find M1 ratio M2. It's the same type of sum. Don't forget to write abscissa of L is equal to 0 because they have asked that in the question. And M1 ratio M2, I'm getting it as 5 ratio 3. Now using that, I can find the value of y because the y coordinates are available. So using that formula of y, M1, M2 I know, y1, y2 I know, I can find the y's value. So now I know the point of intersection is actually 0, 31 upon 8. This is 0, 31 upon 8. Next, the 20th sum. A, B and C are the vertices of a triangle. Find the length of the line segment AP where P is on BC and the ratio is given as 2 ratio 3. Draw the diagram first. This is like necessary. Without that you won't make head or tail of this sum. It's like this. So they want distance AP, but I don't even know the values of the coordinates of P. I do know that the ratio of BP ratio PC is 2 ratio 3. Is it 2 ratio 3? Read again properly. Is it 3 ratio 2? No, it's 2 ratio 3. Fine. So fine, then it's easy for us to solve. We can get the value of the x coordinate by the formula and the y coordinate by the formula. So I got P as 1, 1. So this is 1, 1. And whenever I have the coordinates of 2 points, I can find the distance between them with the help of the distance formula. This is the distance formula, which we have studied in 9th standard. If you write x1 minus x2 the whole squared, it doesn't make a difference. Any order is fine. But please understand that now the definition of x1, x2 and y1, y2 has changed. Here, earlier I said that this is x1, y1 and this is x2, y2. But now in the distance formula, let me say that this is x1, y1 and this is x2, y2 and I'm finding the distance between them. Or I can say this is x1, y1 and this is x2, y2 and I find the distance between them using the distance formula. Remember, squaring gets rid of any negative values because we can't have a negative number square root, and the final answer is 5 units. And then the 23rd sum. The line joining this and this intersects the y-axis at point R, and then there are two perpendiculars on the x-axis, and find the area of the quadrilateral also has been asked. Okay, draw the diagram first. Read the question again and check. Does this diagram make sense as per the question? Perpendiculars. P and R, P and Q. R is the point of intersection. It lies on the y-axis. That means I know it's 0, y. First, find the ratio between them. Well, I have x1, I have x2 and I have x. So using these three values, I can find the ratio, M1 ratio M2 using the x coordinates formula. Great. Roman number 2, find the coordinates of R. Well, the only thing missing in coordinates of R is the y's value. How will you find y value? Well, using the y coordinates, using the y coordinate formula. But for that I need the ratio, which is why we found the ratio first, which was asked in the question, of course. So after finding the ratio, find the y coordinates. So the coordinates of R are this. Now, area of a quadrilateral. Which kind of quadrilateral is it? I see that PM and QN are perpendicular to the same segment MN. So they are parallel to each other, whereas PQ and MN are clearly not parallel to each other. So when only one pair of the sides are parallel, we call it a trapezium. And the area of a trapezium formula is half into sum of the parallel sides into the height. That is half into PM plus QN and then into height. Height means distance between the parallel sides, that is mn. How much is pm, by the way? If this was a graph paper, it would be easy. You could count the number of boxes and tell me what is the height. But still, even here you can tell me the height. It is 5. Whenever you calculate the vertical height, you look at the y-axis. What is the height of this now? Similarly, it is 2. So whenever you calculate the vertical height, it is 2. What about the distance between m and n? How will you calculate that? Horizontal. So look at the x coordinates now. Horizontal is x. Well, minus 4 to 0, that's 4 boxes. 0 to 3, that's 3 boxes. 4 plus 3, 7 boxes. So the total height between the two parallel lines is 7. So using these values, we can substitute in this formula and get the value of area of trapezium as 24.5 square units. And now finally the 26th sum is very easy. The coordinates of P are given, A are given and B are given. Ratio is also given. We have to find the values of A and B. So we'll start with the x coordinate. I have these values given for x coordinate. So using that and the ratio, I form an equation, I cross multiply and get the value of B. Next, using y coordinates formula, I substitute these values and the ratio, and I'm able to solve it, get the like terms together and get the value of A as 1. Hence, the sum is over. Hi students, if you found this video useful, press the like button. Also, to enroll for my online lectures or online test series, email me or message me on Instagram. Check the description for more information.